Startup Office Hours. I'm Scott Fox. Good to see you all. Sorry for a slight delay there. Technical difficulties. Those internets never work quite as advertised. But here today we're going to talk about some startups. We're going to talk about startup fundraising, startup strategy, how to build your company into a growth machine that attracts investors, hopefully makes the world a better place, and maybe even makes you wealthy. Not a get-rich-quick show, but I've been at this a long time, and I'm here today to share the benefits of my experience with you about navigating the increasingly complex world of startups. So we're going to talk today for, well, as long as you'll have me, I guess. But we have a bunch of questions from folks from all over the world. I'm going to try to get to those. We have a couple folks who are going to join us on camera here as well. If you're waiting in the waiting room, maybe you can give me a quick hello. There's a private chat there. Let me know who you are, what your question was about, and we'll try to bring you on camera as soon as I can. I see Eddie and Michael there. If you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube or what else are we talking about? LinkedIn, of course. A bunch of you are on LinkedIn. There's a chat room, and you're welcome to enter into the chat. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. A little bit about your startup if you want. It's not the place for pitches, but most importantly, I'd love to see you guys in the chat if you can help our callers, right? So if you have ideas that I don't have, that would be great because I obviously don't know everything. I'm just here trying to host and curate and share the benefits of my expertise. But I don't know everything by any means, and I know that a lot of you have a lot of experience as well. So thanks for tuning in today. I'm Scott Fox. The introduction is basically that I do this once a month. I'm a serial internet entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I've written a bunch of books about it. Actually, you can see them here in English and many other languages around the world. So welcome to those of you from, I know we had some people from Bangalore and Sydney and Berlin, a bunch of different places. So hello to all of you. I know it's a lot of different time zones. I try to find one in the middle for everybody, but there's no one time zone that works worldwide. So thanks for staying up late or getting up early to join us today. And today we're going to talk about, well, my thesis is that a combination of innovation and investment can improve the world. That's all there is to it, right? At least from my point of view. So if you're here today to talk about an innovative idea that you need help with, then you're in the right place. And the goal is to link you with the ideas and strategies and maybe even the connections that you need to raise the money, the investment, to put that idea out into the world, get it out of your head and out into the world so that it can make the world a better place, create jobs, generate some tax revenue, help your local governments and society, all right? So that's what we're going to do today. If you want to know more about me, there's a page on Wikipedia about me, or you can go to scottfox.com anytime, of course. But I should say up front, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. You should connect with your own qualified advisors in all those areas. This is just for entertainment purposes only, okay? So just trying to do my part to help you move forward and make the world a better place. And also quickly, this is in addition to the monthly accelerator workshops. We run these once a month as well. Those are a smaller group that is private, tends to be 20, 30, 40 people, entrepreneurs around the world. And it's, again, the topic is your questions, and I moderate those discussions. That's much more of a peer group coaching thing. Great thing. We've been doing those for 3-4 years now. And one of the few benefits of the pandemic has been that we do them by Zoom now instead of here in Southern California. And that means that we get people from all over the world. So lots of interesting expertise, lots of people helping each other and building the relationships that lead to the fundraising that I know is on everybody's mind. So let's get going here on our topics. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got two folks in the chat room. Okay, Michael and Eddie. Excellent. Okay, those good guys. Okay, we'll bring you on in a second. If anybody else is watching, let me just change our caption here. Here's a couple disclaimers real quick. We are recording this. Invite your friends right now. If you're watching, especially on YouTube, that's an easy one to find, youtube.com/ScottFox. Come and tell your friends that we're doing this, and we're happy to take questions live from all over the world. And let's see, there's the not qualified legal or financial advice. And what was I looking for, though? Other folks. Okay, so if you want to join me on camera, you can try this, bit.ly/MasterMinds on camera link. And it's a highly encrypted link, but I'd be happy to talk to you if you have a legit and interesting question to share with the audience and with me, and I'll do my best to help you, okay? So let's get going here. We're going to invite, let's see, let me look at those questions again, guys. Who's Michael and Eddie? Well, let's start with Michael. Okay, you ready, Michael? I see you got your camera on. Let's start with that's a nice general question. Now, let me work the magic here. This is a very high-tech system I've got here. Hold on so I don't break anything. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and folks, go in the chat room, too, if you want to chime in. Let's see. Let's try this. We're going to turn Eddie's camera on. There he is. Welcome, Eddie.
Hello.
Excellent. Okay, so Eddie's here. Where are you from, Eddie?
This is Michael, actually.
Oh, sorry, Michael. Okay. Sorry, Michael. Yes, Michael, where are you from?
Hi, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, you're right nearby then. Okay, well, we could do this in real time.
Yep, yeah.
Okay, so thanks for being with me. Everybody listen to what to Michael's question here, and if you have ideas also, please share them in the chat room, and let it rip there. Michael, what's on your mind?
Sure, yeah, so I'm just starting out, and I come from a corporate background. I've had a bunch of different jobs, and basically transitioning now to an entrepreneurial career. But I don't necessarily have a massive network of angel investors or VCs that I already know. So I've started to reach out to people on LinkedIn, through webinars like this, trying to network my way around. But sometimes, especially, with the cold outreach, I know it's not the most effective way. So I'm looking for feedback and ideas on, what's the most effective way to meet new people in the investment community. And also not just for feedback, of course, but also to actually pitch to them.
Exactly right. Okay, cool. Well, that's a very common question and a good one. We all start. The thing to remember, just so you don't get demoralized, it's a long road. And I'm not just talking to you. I don't know how long you've been at this, Michael. We just met. But everybody listen, it's a long road. I remember last month we had a young woman who was very discouraged because her app idea had not been invested in yet. And I asked the question, well, how many people have you talked to? Well, she'd only talked to 4 people, right? So, I mean, you can't, nothing's going to happen with 4 people, right? So everybody, this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? The media loves to make it sound like you go out to a couple coffee meetings and then you meet somebody and they write you a check and then you go public like 6 weeks later. That's not how it happens. It's a long road. And this is the heart of Michael's question, really. It's really about relationships. So that's one of the reasons I do this show, is because I'm trying to let more people learn and get a little bit on the inside, right? Because the world of venture capital traditionally has been so clubby that people just kind of, understandably, right? You hang out with people that you know and that are like you, and you want to write checks to people that went to the same college you went to, and so on. And it kind of makes sense. We all like to hang out with people that we're comfortable with, but that means that it gets incestuous, right, and inbred. And really, I think the goal for what I'm doing with my books and these podcasts and so forth is to help more people understand how the game is played, so that we can open up the relationships. And that's really what the heart of Michael's question is. So, okay. Enough lecture. You're doing it right. That's what you do, right? You go out, you find some people on LinkedIn, you send out some cold emails, you network your way into it just as if you were looking for a job. So I think you know that, but so let's get a little more specific. So for anybody, especially if you're new to this, I wanted to get all that on the table because it takes time. Every investor has different criteria that they don't disclose, and which may change from week to week, right? Depending, that another deal just went through, so now they're out of money, or their competitor just got funded, so now they want to invest in you more or less. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, right? People tend to think of investors as kind of like a bank, right? The bank is always open, and if you want to get a mortgage for your house or your car, a car loan, you walk in and they look at your credit score and they give you the money, right? That's not how venture capital works. Venture capitalists and angel investors like myself, we have assets and we have a plan for how we're going to disperse them, right? But that plan can be impacted. Like the stock market suddenly crashes. Hey, I don't have as much money to invest anymore, right? It changes the game, right? And this is true for big firms as well. So there's a lot of moving parts, and you just can't take it personally. They are looking for things, and they won't always tell you what they're looking for. And the other part that's maddening is they never say no. They always want to drag you along in case you turn into something amazing, right? So even if your idea is stupid, you're probably not going to get a clear no from pretty much anybody, which is really frustrating. Does any of this sound familiar yet, Michael?
Yes. Well, the clear no's. I think there's a couple of people that have said, oh, you're too early stage for us.
Oh, good.
But so it's still on a hard no. It's basically like, yeah, like well, let's see a little bit more, and then
Right.
maybe we can talk more.
Yeah, okay. Well, and if they have said even that much, that's great, because a lot of times they'll just drag you along forever. But okay, so what do you do? So all that is like, that's the setting the table. So what do you do to get around that? Well, the first thing is to focus on the relationships, not the money. The relationships are what drive the deals. So I think you're doing this right, but everybody else that's listening as well. And again, chime in the chat room if you have better ideas or additional things that I missed from Michael and for each other. You focus on the relationship. So the best way to build relationships, and it's been really tough this last year or so, is in person. So I would go to events. The most likely investors are probably people in your region, right? And you're in Los Angeles. There's lots of investors. You need to get there and like shake their hands and look them in the eye. Well, I don't know if we shake hands anymore now. We fist bump or elbows or something, right? And it's hard with a mask on too if you're masking, right? But getting there and building that eye-to-eye human contact, we're all wired that way, and there's just no substitute, unfortunately, which makes it really hard on those of you who don't live in Los Angeles, right? If you're in Topeka, Kansas, like how many angel investors are there? I don't know, probably not many, or especially if you're overseas in a market that isn't as familiar with venture capital. So first of all, you go build the relationships. And here's an insight that somebody told me a while back. I wish I could remember who, because I think it's a good one. Investors don't invest in points, they invest in lines. What I mean by that is, let me grab a piece of paper. If you meet somebody once, hold on, I'm grabbing a pen. This will become clearer as soon as I do it. If you meet somebody once, you have 1 point, right? Oops, where's the camera? Okay. So they only know that much about you. So what you need to do is you need to meet them again, and again, and again. And if over that time, consistently, you've been a reputable person who has his or her head on straight, your business hopefully has some progress you can talk about, they start to see a pattern, right? And they're going to invest in that line. And if you don't give them enough dots, then they don't care because they don't know you, right? It's really, really like dating, right? It really is. And you need to go on a bunch of dates before you get married. And that's the way they look at this, because none of them have unlimited money. They have very limited pocketbooks, even though they're much bigger pocketbooks than yours or mine personally. They have to make choices, and they have to justify them to their partners and to their investors. So a friend of mine once said, before you go fundraising, you go friend raising. And that would be my recommendation, right? I want to steal that, use it as a book title or something. But yeah, go make friends. That's the idea. You got to meet a bunch of people and build relationships over time. And this is all kind of, I'm sorry, but it's kind of obvious, right? Once I say it, but that's what it takes. Okay, so what else? Am I helping, or is this useful? Or
yeah, no, that's helpful. It's like you said, it's good to hear from somebody else. Like, yeah, you get to go get out there and talk to people, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear. So, but what about when I'm on LinkedIn, for example, and I'm reaching out to people? I mean, it's relatively straightforward to identify investors. I mean, with the friend raising aspect, it's kind of how do you approach somebody who's clearly an investor? You're clearly there to ask for money essentially. But what do you do to sort of start that conversation and start creating those dots that they see, as opposed to just like diving in and saying, hey, are you interested in this investment opportunity? Or maybe that is the way to do it, but the answer is just not immediately yes.
No, you're right. This is perfect. You and I should take this on the road. You give me the perfect questions, because that's I forgot to say, which is, here's another aphorism that you hear in investor circles, or when people that coach startups a lot, like I do. If you ask for money, you'll get advice. If you ask for advice, you might get money. So that's what I would do. You don't ask for money. Anybody that has money knows what you're doing, right? This is like a pretty girl in the bar. Everybody wants to talk to her. She knows what you want to do. This is not a surprise. She's in the bar, or a handsome guy. I don't mean to be sexist, but everybody knows what's going on. So if you walk right up and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Investor, I need $1 million. Hey man, buy me a drink at least. Jeez, come on. So go and ask for advice. And then you want to demonstrate over time those points. And these don't all have to be face-to-face. face. A lot of them can be by email or by Zoom, right? And this is my high-tech diagram here that I spent hours producing. Each one of these points, one of these is going to be face-to-face, and that's the best way to start a relationship. And it may not even be the first one. You might have met them on a Zoom call or seen them speak on a panel or something, and you start with an email. At some point, ideally, you meet face-to-face, but these days, maybe not. But what I was going to say is that by asking for advice and then giving updates, you build the relationship. So again, back to the dating analogy, you're never going to get money on the first date. But what you can do is build a relationship so that they're interested in hearing from you. And that's your goal as an entrepreneur. With every contact, whether it's LinkedIn or it's Zoom or it's face-to-face at an in-person event, is to get to the next date, which is that when your email lands in their inbox, is that, oh, it's Michael. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to. Because I remember him. I've seen him a couple times. And you send them little updates, right? And you don't send a whole great, movie script. You just say, hey, you remember that company, my company we talked about 3 weeks ago? Well, we just signed our first customer, and it's looking really good. And I appreciated your time. Goodbye, right? And then 3 weeks later, wow, we got our second customer, or whatever it is. We hired a lead engineer, or we, blah, blah, blah. Like little pings, you're trying to create those dots over time. So that the person has some sense of you that isn't just, hi, can you give me money? Because that's not fun for anybody. So what Robert said in there, this is definitely useful. Oh, good. Thanks, Robert. Nice to meet you. And Satyanda says, hi, everybody. Hi. Where are you guys from? Robert and Satyandra. Where are you guys from? Put that in the chat room. I'd be curious. Okay, well, I could talk about this all day. We've got Michael and William are both also waiting. I wanted to say one more thing, though, that, Michael, that might help you a lot, and is the major mistake that people at the early stage make, which is thinking that all investors are alike. And I already talked about that, how we're not like banks. We have other pressures. But the other thing you can do to save yourself a lot and greatly increase your hit rate is to research the investors a lot. So just because somebody has venture capital in their title on her LinkedIn profile doesn't mean that she invests in what you want to do, right? You might be an early stage robotics company, but she is a venture capitalist, but she invests in late stage software, right? I mean, totally different worlds. They may not seem that way to you because you just want the money, but for her, that's a different job. That's a different company. She's not interested at all. So you can do yourself a great service and save a lot of time and greatly increase your hit rate and therefore your confidence by talking to people who are interested. And people take the easy way. They kind of spray and pray, right? They send out a bunch of emails. They hit the contact link on all the VC firms they can find and just send stuff and hope something's going to show up. It's not. There's just way too. Even I'm not a firm. I'm just a guy, but I get more than I can handle, right? And imagine what it's like if you're a big name, you're Sequoia or Benchmark or Tiger Global or some of these big guys, right? They're getting hammered, like hundreds probably a day of pitches. So that is not going to work, full stop. So you've got to figure out how to target so that if you are going to send in something random-ish, it's premeditated, right? Like it's more like, dear Jennifer, I see that, you specialize in early stage robotics. Well, it turns out I have an early stage robotics company. What a coincidence, right? And you do early stage. Well, it turns out we're only looking for 250 grand. And by the way, here's right? You got to build those bridges so that they have some idea that you have done more than spray and pray, and that you might be worth talking to. All right, is that useful? I did all the talking there, Michael.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Well, I hope that's helpful, and I hope for everybody else too. That's how it works these days. It's just not luck plays a part of it, but it's not like, there's still this media myth of like, hey, you walk into this random Starbucks and this person in line next to you turns out to be wealthy, and then they give you money, and wow, it's magic, right? It's work. It's a sales job. And that's, for any of you who are early stage founders, you got to think about this. If you're a product person, this is a sales job. So if you want to do the product and you need a partner who is a sales-ish person, right, who can watch the money, because it's really hard to do both. But that's another topic. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for joining us,
awesome.
Michael.
Thank you.
I hope to see you again. Yep. Our next MasterMinds Accelerator Workshop is August 11th. and happy to give you a free ticket since you were brave enough to come on camera with me. If you want to email us,
Oh yeah, appreciate that.
Happy to see you there, and you're in my time zone, so it'd be easy for you to join us on the 11th.
For sure.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. You're welcome. Nice to meet you. So next up, we're going to keep moving here. We've got, I think, Eddie was going to be next, and Murillo. Oh, hey, Murillo, nice to meet you. If you could put in the chat room, there's a private chat, Murillo. Just type in a little bit what you want to talk about, and I'll try to work you into this conversation. And, okay, hold on here. There we go. Hang on here. Too many buttons here. Okay, I'm trying to, oh, I know what it is. There you go, Michael. There we go. All right, there we go. Okay, so let me just check the chat room. Chat room says, I'm part of an early stage robotics startup. Recommendations to investors. Okay, good. Riley, how do you stay compliant to general solicitation? That's a good one. Robert's from London. Company, quite refreshing spin on what you're constantly told. Good, great, Robert. Glad to help you. You know, it's interesting, Robert. My approach constantly gets that feedback from the UK. There's something about the California American entrepreneurship, I don't know, gene that I have or something, that my books, I get emails from people from England all the time that I'm, I don't know what the word is, like wildly ambitious or something. It always surprises people from the UK. So I'd love to hear more about what you are told and what I'm doing differently, because I hope it's helpful. Okay. So where did, oh, no, Eddie, okay, Eddie left. Okay, so let's go back here to, yeah. So Murillo, can you tell me what you got the hi in there. Tell me a little bit what you want to talk about before I bring you on camera, if you don't mind. Okay, so let's talk about, sorry, this chat room is moving faster than I can see it. Let me scroll up. Okay, so Riley's question, what's your approach to scaling it? How, do you do mass outreaches? So I'm not sure what the it is in that sentence, Riley. If you could chime in again, scaling what? Your fundraising, I guess. Oh, and then you're saying, how do you stay compliant to general solicitation? Okay, so scale. Okay, yes. So you are talking about fundraising, I think. Thank you, Maria. Okay, I'll bring you on in a second, Maria. Okay, so Riley, so how do you scale this? Well, it would help to know where are you from, Riley, because the laws are different around the world. If you can just type in real quick. I'm gonna presume you're in the United States. The United States, the fact is that there used to be a lot of scary laws about that you couldn't solicit to raise money for your startup. You're only supposed to talk to accredited investors or investment professionals like like venture capital firms and stuff. And that is certainly still true. I mean, it's true, but it's not the only game in town because the laws have changed a lot. The Jobs Act and all this crowdfunding stuff that's going on. I'm not an expert in this stuff. Again, this is not legal advice, etc. But the fact is, you can kind of talk to anybody these days. Honestly, I mean, you shouldn't. You should talk to a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice, okay? But really, who's going to stop you, right? The SEC is busy with much bigger things to do. And if you are trying to do a legitimate offering, especially if you're doing like a regulation crowdfunding thing, you go through one of the portals like Start Engine or WeFunder or Net Capital or Title III, those kind of folks. You can get your stuff out very widely, and there's very little, as far as I can tell, enforcement, frankly, about prohibiting people from soliciting investments. That's just the honest truth. So I'm not recommending that you do something illegal, but honestly, I don't think it's a big deal anymore. So staying compliant, that's what that means, folks who aren't familiar with that language. Staying compliant means abiding by the laws, right? Now, if you have a larger company, you have more capital at risk, or you have a license of some sort, like you're an attorney or a FINRA registered broker or something, you might have to be a little more careful, right? But if you're the typical entrepreneur that reads my books and you've got an idea and you're hot for it and you just want to go make some noise, I think you can go make some noise these days. That's just how it works. So to scale that that's another discussion, I guess. I don't get on to Murillo here. Okay, so Murillo is going to join us. Let's see here. Who we got here? Murillo. I got to turn the camera on there. There he is. Hi, Murillo.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Can you listen?
Yes, I can hear you. Where are you coming from?
I'm from Brazil, Sao Paulo.
Oh, excellent. Are you there today?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Excellent. I'm glad this reached you then. So your question.
So yeah, my question is, I'm the founder of EasyMovie. EasyMovie is a platform. It's a marketplace that connects companies to video producers. So we have a great video producers community in Brazil, and hundreds of projects hired through our platform, from institutional videos, animated videos, events, tutorials, video classes. So every kind of video can be hired through EasyMovie with video makers. And I started it alone. We have, as I told you, hundreds of projects. We have volume, but I couldn't increase the team yet. And now I have another co-founder with me. So we are two working on EasyMovie. And my question is, it's slow. And at the beginning, I tried look for investment, and once I was alone, it was a bad characteristic on investors' checklist. So I stopped looking for investment and continued on Bootstrap, and that's my doubt. Do you think should I now continue on bootstrapping or go look for investment? So my doubt is, because once I'm a lean startup, the question is, I put my focus, my effort on trying to find the best marketing strategy, like outbounding strategy or inbound strategy, or should I focus on investment?
Right. Okay. Great. Congratulations on your progress. It sounds exciting.
Thank you.
Where are you looking for investment? In Brazil or here in the States or?
In Brazil.
In Brazil. Okay. So I have to say I don't know the venture market in Brazil at all. It's my goal. Brazil is a country I have not been to yet, so maybe someday we'll change that together. But so I can give you advice based on the U.S. Do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So the timing of raise. Well, so do you have any revenue yet? Are you making money?
Yes. The money is increasing. We are.
Great.
Yeah.
Are you profitable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Great. Well, that's a whole different discussion. That makes it a lot easier. Excellent. Okay. Well, I think the trick is to find people that are interested in that sector, right? That's a very specific sector, backing video production. It sounds like a platform, kind of a marketplace. Is that the idea?
Yes, it's a marketplace. The idea is not only connect companies to video producers, but also offer tools to facilitate the experience. So we have a script and storyboard tool, alteration management tools. So tools that facilitate the communication between clients and producers. So we have the marketplace, that's the main business model, and we released the second product, that's this script and storyboard tool that is a SaaS, and we have a subscription model with more than 70 subscribers, active subscribers. So we have these two products.
Yeah, that's very clever. Good for you guys. That's exciting. Okay, well, so the time to raise money is never, right? If you can bootstrap it forever, that's great, because then you own it. So if you can avoid raising money, that's always the best answer. The media loves to make raising money sound like the goal, but raising money is that's the wrong thing to do if you're an owner, right? Except, as you know, to fuel the growth, right? So if you are at an inflection point where your company is doing well enough, and it sounds like you are, so congratulations, that's exciting.
Thank you.
That adding money will then accelerate the growth, that's the time, right? But it's not the time if you're just going to spend that money on more infrastructure, more tools, more software, more stuff that doesn't make money. And I say that not because that's like my philosophy, it's because most investors these days, at least in the States, like I said, I don't know Brazil, they want to give money for something that's already proven that's going to accelerate the growth. These days in Silicon Valley, the pitch more often is about the growth strategy than actually the product or the idea, because markets are so crowded that getting people's attention is the hard part. You may have the best idea in history, you could cure cancer, but if you can't get it out there with all the competition, then it's useless, right? So the go-to-market strategy is really the key. So I would be looking at your numbers and really, as an investor and you as a CEO, looking at the numbers like, okay, if we had, well, how much money are you thinking about raising, just roughly?
For a plan of 1 year would be great. 1 million reais.
$1 million, okay. Or reals. So how much is that in dollars?
It would be $200,000 or something more than it.
So that's not a lot of money for a venture capital firm. At least in the United States, you're going to find very few firms that will actually do that. That's too small. I don't know about Brazil. So you'd be looking more at angel investors. And $200,000, honestly, if you're running revenue, if you've got revenue, I would think, again, I just met you, so I don't know, this is not official advice, but that's not enough to be worth the trouble. If you have revenue and you're going to distract yourself to go and try to raise money, I think your time would be better spent building up the customers and showing you have revenue and not raising money, or raise like 500 or 700 or $1 million, right? In US dollars anyway, so that you have enough to really run. Because with $200,000, I'm an investor, I'm immediately thinking, okay, if you raise $200,000, unless you have some specific milestone that's going to get you to, you're going to need more money in like 4 months, right? In which case you're back on the treadmill of trying to raise money again. And if I'm investing in you, I want to see you working on the product and making money, not out raising money, right? Raising money is not a job from the investor's point of view. They want that finished. So I would really be thinking about either eliminating the raise or increasing the raise, and really looking at a milestone that you could work backwards from. For example, if you say, if we had $500,000, we would be able to sign up this, 50 customers that generate this amount of revenue, right? Or some kind of clear equation, right? Or if we had $500,000, we could hire 2 more engineers and license this other tech that we need, something specific, right? But then this is where most entrepreneurs get stuck. They stop. They don't even do that. But then they need to tie it to revenue. So I can't tell you how many business plans I've seen that this is a template somewhere that I want to destroy on the internet. People have all these slides, and at the end there's a pie chart, and it says use of funds. And you know what the use of funds says every damn time? It says 30% on marketing, 30% on engineers, and 60% on staff and administrative costs, or something like that. And the percentages may vary, but it's basically saying, we're going to spend your money. Well, no shit, you're going to spend our money. That's why you're here, right? What I want to know is, what do we get for the money, right? So if you give me $500,000, okay, it's going to be spent 20% on this and 37% on that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what is that going to lead to in terms of revenue? So for your pitch and your discussions with investors, maybe you've done this already. I'm doing most of the talking here. I apologize, but if you can show them an equation like that, and this is for Michael too, if he's still listening, that's what investors want to see these days. Is like, okay, I will just assume you have a good company. I'm not even going to worry about that. What I want to know is, if you take my money, how are you going to get out to a lot more people who want to buy this thing? And that's going to translate into revenues and ideally profits. That's the piece that's the hard part these days, not the product is so cool, it has these features, there's this problem in the market that we're going to solve, all of which is required, but that just kind of has to be a given these days. I want to see the end part, right? Okay, I give you the money, we put money in the machine, what comes out, right?
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yes, it's helpful. That's the challenge, because we are increasing volume, but we don't know yet the main strategy, the perfect machine that I would tell to investors. So, for example, if I invest on Google Ads, or if I invest on outbound, or if I invest, so we are receiving clients from different channels. And I think the challenge is discover the best one. So I think I need to discover it before look for investor and show this equation?
Yeah, great. I think that's exactly right. So if you have whatever your budget is, I mean time and money, say you have 100 hours in the next 2 months or whatever, and you have $10,000 or $100,000 that without raising money, I mean, whatever you have available, I would use that to figure out that question, right? Which of those channels is working for you? I would resist the urge to build more features in your tools or things that are internal, right? Or hire more engineers, because the relationship between your company and the customers is the game, right? So I don't know your background, but a lot of founders are product-driven people, and I used to be this way too. That's why I'm sensitive to this, right? It's very likely, and I don't know you, but other people listening, it's very likely you don't want to go out and talk to investors more. You want to go tweak the website or add some more code over here, build this new feature.
Yeah.
That's not going to change the game. Investors actually, they don't really care that much. They want to know that customers love this thing so much they're buying it and they're telling their friends. That's what will get you money, if you need money.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. Hope to see you
Nice
again.
to meet you too.
And you too, if you want to email me, you can join us on the 11th for the next MasterMinds. There you can see it. The Startup Accelerator Workshop is August 11th. So we do a whole bunch of folks like talented guys like Murillo and Michael here, and ladies too, of course. And we're happy to see any of you that are watching. Let me put that Chiron up here. There's the URL for that if anybody wants to join us there. Okay, cool. So this is going well. We're 40 minutes in already. Okay. Well, let me check in the chat room. Let's see here. Robert's from London. Riley's from Phoenix. Okay, cool. Dylan is part of an early stage robotics startup. Recommendations for angels or other investors to talk to? Well, that's a totally legit question, Dylan. So Dylan's asking, where can he, I don't know if it's he or she, looking for angels or investors to talk to for an early stage robotics startup? I have no idea. But Google is your friend and LinkedIn is your friend. That is the only answer these days. There are some other services, and you can hire people that supposedly know this stuff. I've never met one of them that actually delivered, but that may just be me. You just got to dig down and research it. There's not an easy answer for that, unfortunately, Dylan. But LinkedIn is a great place to start. Actually, you know what? I will give you a couple quick tips now that you got my brain working. The best way to find, really useful, actually, I'm glad you brought this up, Dylan. The best way to find investors for your startup is to find investors who invested in your competitors. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you want to find people that have already demonstrated an interest in your sector and your stage, meaning, robotics or advertising or AI or blockchain or whatever your sector is, and then stage, meaning pre-seed, seed, Series A. You want to find people that play in this space. And then if you find a couple of those competitors, they often will say, either on their website or if you just Google, company's name and investors or funding, you can find old press releases and stuff and figure out who their investors were. Now, those investors may not be good investors for you because they already invested in this competitor. But the odds are that that most competitors are not direct competitors, right? They're probably, they may overlap 50% or something, right? Or that may have been 3 or 5 or 8 years ago too, right? So they are at a different stage now. So you are still in good stead if you find investors who are interested in this sector. That's all I'm saying. This is a way to shortcut finding who's interested in your area. And it's a manual process. You just got to go and dig. And the best way, actually, this is back to Michael's suggestion. The best way to meet investors, if you identify somebody who was interested in your stage and all this, et cetera, you made friends with them to get an introduction to somebody really good, is not to go directly to the investor, but go to the founders of the companies they invested in. All right, are you following me here? So say you find a firm that you like, a VC firm, and then you want to talk to them, but if you go in cold, like we talked about, you're probably not going to get very far. So go and look at their portfolio, find some companies that are similar, find the founders of those companies on LinkedIn, and then message them and say, hi, hey, Jennifer, I'm Susan, and I've got this company, it's not a competitor of yours, but it's kind of similar. It seems pretty cool. Can we have coffee, or can I have a chat with you? And then maybe you can work that into a relationship where that founder will then call or email or Zoom or whatever the investor, right? And that's who investors really like to hear from. They take those calls all the time from their own portfolio company founders. That's their job to take those calls, right? So if you can get that introduction, as opposed to coming in the front door, you kind of come in the side window through a company and a person that they've already placed a big bet on, you're going to get much better reception to your introduction and your building of relationship. Okay, so hopefully that's useful, Dylan. Nadine says, looking to use LinkedIn to poll opinions on post-COVID office wellness. Any suggestions before we launch product? I'm not sure if you're asking for suggestions about the product or the LinkedIn poll, but honestly, either of those I don't know that much about. But anybody in the chat rooms there, please chime into Nadine Sino, C-I-N-O. And you're all welcome to put in your LinkedIns in there and talk to each other, right? What I'm really trying to do with this is to build relationships and networks of people that think alike, right? That want to do this and can help each other, because none of us can do this alone. Entrepreneurship is definitely a team sport. Okay, let me keep going down here. Let's see. Riley says, I raised $1 million last month for a 506B and the blood bet. So much. Okay, so 506B is that's pretty technical. That's a fundraising exemption in the SEC laws, regulations, something like that. And Riley's saying, looks like a he. I can't tell from the little tiny picture there, Riley. But anyway, a bloodbath. So much work, totally. Yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat that, right? There's so much paperwork involved. This is another reason, actually, back to, I think it was Murillo's point. The point of view with Murillo is, if you don't have to raise money, don't. It's such a nightmare. You will not be able to work on your company for months. And that's if it goes well, right? At the end of that, hopefully you get, $1 million like Riley did. But it is not for the faint of heart. And good attorneys are a really good asset and valuable. And if any of you need attorneys, by the way, I'm happy to make recommendations that do this kind of stuff and are good at it. All right. Sumant says, let's see. Well, Dylan's following up there. Thanks for the advice. Recommendations: high risk, high reward startups raising capital. High risk, high reward. Well, Dylan, I would go look on the crowdfunding portals. I was talking to a friend that works for WeFunder a couple weeks ago, and they're doing a lot of business-to-business deals now too, meaning angel and VC type deals on the crowdfunding portals, because of the very paperwork issue that you're talking about. They're streamlining the workflow for the fundraising for early stage founders, and you can find a lot of great deals out there on the crowdfunding portals. They're not just for direct-to-consumer, popular brands anymore. And then AngelList is great. I'm part of a couple other funds. I mean, there's a lot of places to spend your money these days if you want to. Okay, so Sumant Chandra. Hey, Sumant, nice to meet you. Please tell us where you're from, Sumant. I'd be curious to hear. Always like to know where our marketing is working. I'm working on a new age space engine, space and satellites industry. Can you please give suggestions how to pitch my innovation to investors? Okay, I can try. I don't know much about space, I have to say, but I do know enough to say that space is hardware, right? Which means that you need capital. So to pitch that to investors, honestly, I'm mostly a software guy, so I don't have specific recommendations. I mean, let me think a second here, but I would review the stuff I've been talking about for the last 45 minutes. The same rules will apply in terms of building relationships. People want to invest and do business with those they know, like, and trust. That kind of old maxim that you hear. For hardware in particular, it's challenging because you don't have anything till you have prototypes, right? And real prototypes, especially if something significant like space tech, you're going to need real money to real materials and production facilities. So there are people that do that. I'm particularly interested in where you're located, Sumant, if you want to chime in, because in the United States, at least, a lot of that is backed by the government. And there are tons of grants from the military in particular, of course, for space type tech or any kind of tech, really. Anything that could be useful to the armed forces. and not necessarily in combat roles, but also in logistics and supply management, and even feeding and clothing the troops. Right? There's lots and lots of needs that the military has, and they have pretty extensive grant programs that any of you could apply for. And I don't know where you're located, like I said, Samant, but if you are in the U.S., that's a pretty good bet, at least as a place to start. And there are accelerators also that certainly track on and fund and support space sort of things. I just am not a space guy particularly. Okay, let's see. So let me check into this chat room here. Let's see, I think I'm kind of caught up here. So, all right, well, we're going to head into the final minutes here. So if you have questions or suggestions, also welcome. But particularly questions you'd like my help with, I'm here to help, here to serve if I can. We've covered a bunch of material here. I want to also let you know that, I'm just looking at my notes here, sorry. So like I said, August 11th is the next one of these, and these are a lot of fun. You can, let's see. If you are interested in this kind of advice, there's over 100 episodes of my podcast, 100 plus videos on YouTube. I've been doing this for a long time, trying to help as many of you as I can worldwide to get in on part of the innovation economy. I run, let's see, there's my LinkedIn. That's not the link I was looking for. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Startup Council. So I started this organization, it's really a nonprofit called the Startup Council. And just like I give the profits from my books go to charity. And this is an organization I started to help you guys. So if you're on LinkedIn, please come and follow this group. I'm determined to help as many people as we can do more of this and share the knowledge that I learned by going to school at Stanford and hanging out in Silicon Valley for a long time and raising money for my own company. And I'd like to ask for your help if you don't mind. If you're listening and finding this useful, please like and share and comment. And like and share and comment on each other's likes and sharing comments as well. That drives the algorithms. I don't do any marketing for this show other than posting it on LinkedIn and Meetup in a few places. So if this is useful to you, pay it forward a little. I'd really appreciate it. And let other people know about it. And follow us and blah, 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 right? So you guys all know the drill. So if there aren't any more questions, good. We're almost just here at the hour mark. Happy to help all of you. And let me check my notes one more time. Yeah, okay. So that's it for today, I think. So thanks very much for joining me. I'm Scott Fox. I'm from the Startup Council. I'm the CEO of the Startup Council and an angel investor, an author, and the guy who's generally trying to help all the entrepreneurs around the world make the world a little bit better and more profitable place and a more equitable place along the way. I appreciate you joining me. And like I said, like and share and comment. I appreciate hearing from you. And look forward to seeing you again next month, which is the 4th Tuesday of the month. Same time, same channels. And other than that, go out there, have a great time, and please come and join our other events. Oh, join the email list, and we can follow up that way. And you can find me at scottfox.com anytime. Look forward to seeing you all again.